Peace, health, and abundance, friends of the channel. On today's podcast, we talked about letting go of resistance to find ease. We talked a lot about parenting, parental self-regulation before child intervention, what teachers use to regulate in classrooms and co-regulate, how fascia maneuvers and the human garage approach can help anyone, how to rewrite societal dream life norms. So what are we given as a template for living, and is it for everyone? What does it take to be a parent? Really? Emotions, epigenetics, and early development, and how everything is passed on to kids, and it's a great responsibility. How to clean up the environment and reduce environmental toxins and things that dysregulate our nervous system that we might not be aware of. And finally, how to use language, belief systems, and healing through words and a practical connection for anyone seeking deeper knowledge about any of these topics. Today we are joined with Deidre FREER, a human garage coach like myself, a beautiful friend. She knows a lot about these topics, so tune in and enjoy. Hello. Do we have audio?
Hi, Dennis.
Hey.
How are you feeling this morning?
Invigorated with new experiences and excited to see what we create with our experiences between us, and excited to hear about what you will share, because I know um you got a lot of irons in the fire. So thank you for um wanting to do this, and I've been really admiring lately um all of the individuals that are very focused on parenting, that are very focused on doing things differently. So I spoke with Daniela Kaufman and I spoke with Daniela Lupu, and I just kind of saw you as the next step in just all experiences, any stories, amazing stories you might have um, about new ways of parenting, about what you see maybe people struggling with the most, what do you see shifting um, in the future and in the now, and maybe some personal experiences. We'll get to that. How are you?
Today is a beautiful day. My heart is open and full, and just going to recognize it's the 11/11 portal today. So, been
hmm
journaling a lot again, just really focusing more on what I choose to feel more of and slowing down and allowing that to happen. And so much is perception.
Mm.
And what I've really come to notice is how much I was living a life of resistance, how much I was living a life of dysregulation through nervous system because of the chronic pain. And when you go to share it with people, you can see quickly, you can feel quickly if they're in this receiving mode or not. And they'll either feel it or they laugh at it because that's their mechanism of resisting. Because deep down, we're a society that have not learned how to feel our emotions. We're scared of it. We're taught to be scared of it. We're taught to be scared of pain. And more people are waking up to this concept of our emotions are stored in our body, but there's a deeper knowing to that. And until somebody has that somatic release and that ease that comes afterwards, they've yet to fully grasp it. And so my heart is being pulled towards, number one, let's get those people in here to these conversations that are ready to receive it. So, maybe during this 11/11 portal, we really put out that this podcast will find those people that are ready to hear the message, because there's a lot of work out there to do with a lot of these parents and even teachers. I say all this because I was sharing something during a staff meeting, and I thought, well, let's do a little fascial maneuvers and just calm our mind. And it was the most awkward thing for like 99% of the staff. But that 1% absolutely was like, oh, we're doing what we're doing it, and they loved it. And so it just really, I was able to witness that. And that it's all good, because that's where I used to be. Like, I can see that 98% resisting. That's where I used to be. And so, it's not like I'm mad at them or frustrated with them. I was uncomfortable. And so I realized, ooh, that's not my audience. I'm not sure that's my audience right now. So yeah, I choose for people to find this conversation that are ready to receive this understanding that shifts into an understanding of feeling the body's emotions, allowing them to move out, which makes more space for peace and ease and slowing down and less resistance. That's what I call ease. So I'm here. I'm ready. Let's go.
I love how you said parents and also teachers. That's a big responsibility, and I feel like it needs to be a calling. It really needs to be in a sense that we are taught through family, through tradition, through how like the dream life is the family, the dream life is, or maybe not the words dream life, but kind of like a template for humans, is that everyone is supposed to at one point or the other have a family. And I don't know. I don't believe this is true. I don't believe all of us.
But
Go ahead.
let's break. I don't like the word break it down, but let's process through that. Why would having a family be the dream or the societal next step norm? It's because they desire connection. They desire a place to belong deeply with others. And if you have your own family, then that would create the opportunity for that. But within having these families, people, a lot of parents don't realize how much time it takes to put into creating the bonds of connection, to put into creating the understanding around a child's way of processing emotions. And so it becomes hard because the parents don't know how to process their own emotions. And so that creates a separation. Now that dream, that societal norm that's supposed to bring this deep connection is now more resistance. So it's really breaking down. Do you really need that house with a beautiful yard? You know, because that's what everybody else does? Or do you just want a house that's close to water and you're close to nature because you desire connection and you desire a sense of safety and security? So it's really asking yourself, why has society created these norms that we believe in so deeply that we think is the next step for us? What is the underlying belief system in that? You know, is it my both of my boys, they desire community. And if you play around with astrology a little, their Chiron exactly says that. So so what is it that your heart is desiring? My first husband, whom we have a great relationship now, he was just so eager. He was eager to be, we were in love with the idea of being in love. We were in love with the idea of having a house with the dog and a fence and having kids. We were in love with the idea of it. But what we did not have was a deep connection. We had been together since early high school, you know, and so we were always connected in terms of being together. But did we have a deep connection with ourselves first? No. And did we have a deep connection with each other? No. But we played the part. And that's what made it pretty, I wouldn't say pretty easy. I was bitter for about 3 years, which, but in terms of the process, he gave me space to feel my bitterness. He and the other woman involved, they gave me the space to feel that. And that is the biggest gift they gave me. And then in return, for the years after that, I gave them gifts in return too, of forgiveness or, you know, we always got along in terms of the kids and money and stuff like that. And so I didn't understand it then, but him divorcing, us divorcing was probably the greatest gift I could have gotten from God. And so when we can learn to see those situations, even as gifts, there's less resistance, there's more ease, and then comes the receiving. So I guess today's theme is how can we let go of resistance, which then brings more ease, which then opens you up to receiving your heart's desires. And that's what every parent and every child really desires in life. That's what we are here for. So do you want me to tell you a little bit about my background?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you feel flows.
Okay. So I'm a public school special education teacher of 24 years now. I've taught third grade for many, many years, kindergarten for a few years, and then now I'm a special ed pre-K teacher in an all at-risk building. So that means when the kids are screened, they have to fall within some level of below average to get into the program. And we have like 200 on the wait list. There's just a lot of kiddos that even I lower my expectations of a 3-year-old because I'm so used to being around kids that are just really below what is average for a 3-year-old. And so I support different classrooms going in. So that's my current career that I'm choosing to move out of, because with that, I'm not able to show I don't have the audience. I've yet to have the audience there
Mm-hmm.
of people wanting to receive the information I've learned. And the information I've learned comes from my personal healing journey. Before I turned 16, I started in with these headaches. And eventually it just was one long chronic headache that would spike in intensity to migraine level often. And after 30 years of doing a lot of Western practices, healing from a lot of the Western
Yeah.
treatments, and then shifting over to Eastern wellness care. 3 years ago, I came across Human Garage and fascial maneuvers, and my body was always in a state of resistance. Yoga was resistance. Qigong, as much as I love yoga and Qigong,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that there was something to do with, I knew there was nothing physically wrong with my body that needed like surgery or any, like I've tried physical therapy. I did the acupuncture and still do. I still do acupuncture, but I will say fascial maneuvers and hydrating through the Human Garage philosophy programs made acupuncture and Eastern medicine so much more beneficial to my body. My body receives it so much better. And so really, I don't use Western medicine anymore unless my Eastern medicine doc says, hey, let's go partner with that, and I might just need a little
Nice.
bitty support from it. So, I have it there if I need it, but I rarely use it anymore. And so in this last year, it's been 30 years of chronic pain, 3 years of fascial maneuvers. In this last year, my body has remembered what it feels like to not be in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Even this morning, taking a shower, I was like, oh my God, like praying to God, thank you. My head feels so amazing right now. Like I can move the skin on my face because it's not so tense. I can massage the scalp on my head because it's not so tense. And so
it actually moves.
It actually moves. And what I used to think was muscle tension and knots I was wrong. Like even the doctors, I got trigger point injections into the deepest part of my muscles, before I turned 21, that summer before I turned 21. 3 weeks in St. Louis cost my mom a fortune just to bring ease to my body. But guess what? Those shots were still trauma. It was not, my body had this belief that it had to go through more pain to get out of pain. And that's not a belief. That's not true at all. But that belief was created in me. Rewind to high school after I was diagnosed with the chronic headache. And so what they labeled as TMJ disorder. So they put me in orthodontics and horrific mouthpieces. That would shove my jaw in different positions, but it was supposed to take the headache away. So then there was that belief of, I have to go through more pain to get out of pain, and then the trigger point injections, I have to go through more, and it just created more resistance in the body. So whenever I would do yoga or qigong or massages or physical therapy, dry needling, like my body would resist and it would brace itself.
Yeah.
Because whenever I would do those things, it's always good to move your body because you get your blood flowing and your lymphatics flowing. But then right after that, the resistance comes back, the bracing comes back. And so what Gary taught me through Human Garage philosophy was pain is a perception. And let's shift the way we look at pain through language of the body. It is a symptom that is telling you something. And so about 8 years ago, I switched to Eastern medicine, started unraveling some things there, reversing some trauma and disease that Western medicine created, and the SAD diet, standard American diet, had created for years. Tried hydrating, but I still wasn't doing it right. Thought I was hydrating myself, but still wasn't fully doing it right. And about 3 years before I found Human Garage, I came across something called Sacred Body Language Translation and Conscious Language by Robert Tennyson Stevens. And I found some mentors that guided me through understanding the body parts as an inner world that speaks to us because we're not listening to our outer world. And it's like that beginning awareness of as above, so below. Your inner reflects your outer, or your outer reflects your inner. It's that concept. And so you baby step into believing that the body is speaking to you through physical symptoms as a language, as, hey, listen to me. Not, oh my gosh, I need to be diagnosed with this and then take this to suppress it. It's, hey, you've got some emotions stored in here. It's time to address these emotions and move it out so that the dis-ease turns into more ease. And I'll give you an example. You know that liver and gallbladder. Liver is anger and gallbladder is resentment. And for whatever reason, you know, I grew up on a farm, have a beautiful family, and there was some anger and resentment in the energy there. And so whenever I could slow down and start talking to the liver and the anger within me and talking to the gallbladder and the resentment I held there, and it doesn't matter if it was past life, if it's ancestral, if it's, you know, birth story, trauma as a childhood, you know, it doesn't even matter. It's just opening up to speak to it in a way that you're listening. And people are so close, you know, people pray, that's speaking to God. People meditate, that's listening for God's message.
Nice.
And so it's just allowing the body's symptoms to come into that prayer and that meditative awareness, and to be open to this concept. And that's where after 3 years, then I found Human Garage, and Gary spoke to the body through the organ reset and other things. I was like, okay, this is different. And I started to do the fascial maneuvers. I did the 28-day reset. I took the bars off the back of my teeth that were retainers holding my teeth in place.
Nice.
And Jason had suggested that he had taken them off, and Coach Matt and myself decided to do it at the same time. And that's when things started to shift. And it was not easy. It was a year of detoxing through extreme headaches. But I knew that I was doing something different, and I knew that my body was shifting in ways that it had never shifted before, because my cranium bone would start to shift and I'd feel it in my ankle.
Wow.
I would resist the vestibular eye resets because it would heighten the headaches again. So I know that I still have a lot of neurological support to give myself as everything has been shifting. And I just kept telling my body, I'm listening. Please be gentle with me. I slow way down, you know, and take this slowly. I will say getting with other Human Garage fascial maneuver coaches is beautiful, because it can really, that intentionality with the coaches can really up level the fascial, opening up the fascial resistance, opening up those, what I used to call muscle tension knots. You know, it was actually, you know, adhesions and scar tissue that were just so dehydrated and restricted in the body. And so having been able to get together with coaches and growing as a community in Human Garage was very much a part of my healing journey, especially being with the core team and learning from them. So I would feel the next year and a half, the first 2 years, I'd feel the roots of my teeth moving. But for me,
Wow.
my teeth never moved. Like, I had pretty straight teeth. I didn't need braces for straightening my teeth. They put braces on me on my teeth to try and fix the TMJ disorder. And now I believe that was a completely misdiagnosis. I was severely dehydrated. I was under a lot of stress in high school. My hormones were out of whack. My body was yelling, hey, something's wrong. But it did not necessarily mean that I had TMJ disorder, but that's how they treated it. So as I unraveled all of that, my cranium started to move, which when your cranium moves, it's going to hurt a little. So it's like constant trust. I will say this deepened my understanding of the body moving emotions out.
Mhm.
So about 1 year of doing fascial maneuvers, it was almost the 1 year mark, pretty close to the day. I had to leave work at school because I felt so much anger. It was to the point of rage. And I did not feel safe. If a kid would have triggered me, I felt like the anger would not have been safe to be around them. So I left work and just took a half day sick day and came home, and I just processed out that anger. That was back whenever, coaches could have, or anybody could really put on a Zoom call. So I
Mhm.
came home and I checked who had a Zoom call, and it was Matt and Ashley were the only two that showed up. So it was like divine intervention to support me through it and to remind me that I had opened up my body enough to allow these deeply stored emotions in the liver and gallbladder of anger, resentment, letting that rage come up and move out of me. So every step of this has been a learning process, and it's created a better relationship with my own children. If
Mm.
I'm not storing and holding on to all that anger and resentment, then my kids feel lighter being around me. They
Mm.
feel the lightness of me compared to me coming home and feeling burdened with that anger and resentment stored in my body. So my relationship with my adult boys has improved. My relationship with my parents have, there's more ease around it. There's my dad and I can butt heads with my dad pretty easily, because I see very easily that's his fear in life, his worries in life is what created my fears and worries in life. Our parents
Yeah.
model to us what we take in. And even this last weekend, I could see where, it's fear. It's this masculine desire to protect his family.
Yeah.
And it comes from a place of protection and trying to think ahead, solve any
Mhm.
problems so that life can, so bad things don't happen, right?
Yeah.
But the truth of it is, whenever you can let go of all that worry, when you can let go of the fear and the anger, and be more in the present, because we know that worry and fear and anger either keeps us in the past or it keeps us constantly in the future, and you're never in the present and enjoying the
Mhm.
moments. And so I know I've been able to shift that for myself. Let's see, where am I at? So so that was like 2 years ago. So then over the next year, my body kept shifting with the fascial maneuvers, properly hydrating, with the diatomaceous earth silica and the Irish sea moss for minerals, really opened up my head's ability, that it's called the dura layer of fascia,
Mm.
to feel fully hydrated and allow the sutures and the cranial bones to start to open up. And so pressure pressure was able to shift. And that's why the fascial maneuvers are so important for me, because now my whole comprehension of what I thought pain was, it's just pressure that needs flow.
Mm.
And the electricity that flows through the body needs hydration, needs the water. And so if you can turn both of those back on, allowing flow in the pressurized system and allowing electricity to flow through the hydration of the body, then those meridian pathways will open up. And that's why acupuncture is so much better for us. So fast forward to now, I am feeling so much more ease in my body. And now it's more the anger and the grieving of the years of living in pain. I got married twice, both of them. I loved the weddings. I was so happy at the time, but it was migraine level headaches that I really had no comprehension how high of level of pain I was in.
No.
Same with giving birth twice. Like, my body was already in fight or flight for so many years. And then to go through those magical moments and not be able to enjoy them because of the amount of dehydration and pain that I was in. So this is what I want to bring to parents and teachers. So I've been co-facilitating, co-creating the parents program in the Human Garage world, and with a beautiful lady named Jenna Kane, who has already been bringing professional development to teachers with teaching this whole concept. And I'm excited to continue to work with parents and teachers that are ready to do things differently. So that's where I'm at.
Let me go back. Let me go back to first thing I wanna mention is when you said when you were in all your relationships and maybe the previous marriage, or I don't know exactly what you mentioned, but basically you said if we cannot feel ourselves and if we cannot be in homeostasis ourselves and be full on our own supply, let's say, and take care of our body first, there's no way we can, like, energetically or emotionally or physically or anything like language, communication, everything falls short with other people and with children. And this reminds me of my former relationship where anytime that we would come to a big crossroads where we did not know how to resolve something between us, there was this tension, there was this uncertainty, unknowing, unable to communicate. Our auras did not plug into each other like puzzles, like they usually do. And almost every single time, the answer was not in that space between us that the majority of the people of humanity always focus on is what is wrong with this tension that is building between my field and your field. And everybody's looking at this middle ground of and it becomes like an arena, like a fighting area, like a comparison area, and the real answer is I wasn't on my ideal food, or she was not on her ideal movement schedule, or I was not sleeping enough, or she was not saying no to her boss so it was always something in my life that I'm not. I'm basically doing an ostrich move, putting my head in the sand and be like, la 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 la, I'm not gonna look at this. Or she was doing the same. And this can be something like for everyone that has maybe tried everything with their partners or their children. Like in most cases, if we just take care of our basic needs and the basic needs of the other person, the middle ground will fix itself. And the term basic needs to be a little bit expanded what people
Mhm.
think basic needs are. It's just that we have been taught that the term basic needs is way less than what a normal functioning healthy human needs, like the bare minimum, like in terms of hugs, in terms of communication, in terms of nature, like you said. Do you need a big house or do you need a house in a good location and stuff like that? Um, the other thing that there were a few other things. I can't remember the rest. I wanted to ask you, now that you've covered all this and you are in the parent teacher program in Human Garage. I'm gonna link all this so people will be able to go, whoever is interested, you will be able to go to the description and see how you can either watch the lives or become a directly connected with Dee and with the other lady and with the parent teacher program. Well, it's all going to be available for everyone. I want to ask you, what do you see most that parents struggle with nowadays?
Yeah. I mean, that's beautiful. I think what I'll start with is parents seek out Human Garage because they want to fix the people around them. Some of them seek it out because they want to fix themselves, but there's a lot of them that show up because they see their loved ones in a struggle and they want to fix it. And so parents then join our parents program and they want to know what to do for their kids. And the beautiful thing about the parents program is, that first year, so many parents came and went through it, and every single one of them had to take a step back and make sure they did the 28-day reset themselves first.
Hmm.
And then new parents would join and they'd come in and they'd say, I want to fix my kid, but I'm doing all the maneuvers on my kid and it's not working. They're not laying down to do it. They're not allowing me to do the maneuvers on them. They're not doing this. And so we all internally giggle without
Yeah.
showing it because we don't want to make them feel bad. But it's like this natural instinctive desire that we want to help co-regulate our children by fixing them. And the biggest awareness that every single mom whose child has benefited from the Human Garage philosophy and programs, they had to pause. They had to pause on fixing their kids. They had to take a step back and they had to go through the program themselves. And we highly recommend that because our job, as soon as that baby comes out, well, our job while the baby's in us is to understand our emotions enough, because most people listening to this podcast is going to be aware of epigenetics. It's hormonally the things that our mother and father are going through that creates their level of hormones, which then creates their level of stress and emotions, are passed down through us through that conception DNA. And then the vibrational frequency of the mother's emotions are felt in that child through pregnancy. And then how that child's birthing process goes, whether it's traumatic or easy, or what emotions are in the room, what words and frequency are being said when that child is born. All of that plays into a role of this child's emotional frequency. And so then they grow up, and most of the issues, we've gone from seizures to tumors to just behavior dysregulation. A lot of autism, a lot of ADHD comes through. I would say Down syndrome, children with Down syndrome have had huge gains. But again, the parents want to come and work on their kids first. And until they take a step back and do it themselves, do they start to see it. So I would say my biggest story that I love right now, though there's been many over the last 3 years, has been Coach Kayleen has a 20-year-old autistic son who at the age of 3 was medically injured and started knocking his head against mirrors and glass and different things. And so it was this constant state of trying to keep him safe. And when she started to do the fascial maneuvers on her now adult autistic son, the banging of the head started to decrease. And his pre-verbal ability started to shift into forming 2 and 3 word sentences independently. Oh. And it's because she was learning more and more how to use more pressure, doing the fascial maneuvers on him, and how to set an intention around the belief systems that were created from his birth, from his injury, and then moving forward with their relationship. Okay. So that's been like one beautiful story. Now he asks his mom every afternoon for, he'll grab her hands and say, do that twisting, and put her hands on his head. And it's that deep connection that they had desired for so long. And there was a lot of trauma in her pregnancy and before birth and stuff like that. So we've worked through all that too. But until she joined the community and did the program herself, did she realize how much her regulation fueled his regulation. And so I want us to bring it back to our energy. Like as soon as that baby comes out and you lay that baby on your chest, and then over the next several weeks and months, that mother's face, that father's face can either make that child cry, or you can just start smiling, and that child will shift their energy and their emotions too. So remember that our emotional state, their nervous system is not able to regulate itself yet. It relies on the parents to regulate the baby's nervous system. And then if that is not grown and developed in a scaffolded, supportive, developmental way, then the kids that I end up getting, their regulation is still very dependent on the environment around them. And oftentimes their environment is very hostile, chaotic, so on and so forth. So by the age of 3, when they should be able to start self-regulating, a lot of our kids are not able to, because the parents are not giving them the environment nor the co-regulation that they needed in order for their nervous system to develop properly. And why is that? It's because the parents are not regulated. And I was one of them. Even just moving from teaching 3rd grade down to kindergarten, my kids felt a shift in my energy. The amount of behaviors and attitude and the constant co-regulation I had to do with the 3rd graders, I needed to leave that until I could process through my own regulation. Because I was in constant fight or flight from the pain. So therefore, showing up to help 28 3rd graders regulate their intense, chaotic lives, my nervous system could not handle it anymore. And so I switched over to kindergarten, and that did shift a little bit. It took us some, just the guided reading lesson plans going from chapter books down to, 3-word sentences was a shift in just, the teacher responsibility. There was, less grading and smaller class size, and a little bit more innocent love that I could give, because they haven't learned how to self-regulate yet in 3rd grade, even though or in kindergarten by, even though I expected it of the third graders, because I had raised my own kids to that, past that age level, and my kids were able to regulate. But, you know, it just, I needed a shift for my nervous system to heal. And that's whenever I really started digging deeper into the fascial maneuvers and everything, was whenever I made that shift from third grade to kindergarten. Let me get back on track here. My point is, we as the adults are the co-regulators for the kids. And if we are out of balance and out of sync and out of regulation in our own nervous system, then that is going to affect our kids' ability to regulate their nervous system. And so if you're coming to fix your child in a state of panic, chaos, dysregulation, then anything you do is not going to work until you as the adult regulate. And so that is the important message here. We all do energy work. Whenever you as the adult go to touch your child's forehead for a fever, you are doing energy work. And so all these, you know, these people become level Reiki 1, 2 practitioners, and they tell you in this training, because I've gone through these trainings, you know, you can't work on people that you don't have permission from. And I'm like, so at school, now as a teacher, I'm helping them breathe, take deep breaths, put their hands over their eyes to you know, calm the sensory overload, to get them out of that midbrain dysregulation of emotion and down to the survival, you know, the lower brain survival area. I'm asking them to tug on their ears. I'm giving them all these tools to regulate with them. And now you're telling me I'm not supposed to do energy work? You can't turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So my regulation as the adult, even though I'm giving them tools, my frequency of the energy my body is putting off is a co-regulation for those kiddos. You cannot turn it off. Just as if whenever I was teaching third grade, I was in chronic pain, I was dysregulated, and the classroom was chaotic. My body was a tuning fork, and they were just matching it. So whenever you can start to see your body as a tuning fork, it's nothing you can turn on and off, but you can use tools to balance it out. You can use tools to calm your nervous system so the frequency you give off is a frequency that their bodies can receive with ease. And that's where the regulation comes into place. And so when mothers can learn to self-regulate themselves, when mothers can learn it's okay to feel shame, to feel grief, to feel embarrassment, to feel joy, to feel enthusiasm, to feel peace. When you can give yourself the 90 seconds to go to the car, scream it out, or take off work and go home and be alone for a little bit, you know, whatever you need to do, go to the bathroom and just stay a few extra minutes in the bathroom. Like, that's your time to ask yourself, what's my body communicating to me right now? What story am I creating in my mind that, you know, is this true or is this not true? Check in with the physical symptoms. Go to where you feel the pressure. Move the body in that area. I have literally done this in the bathroom at school, just because I needed to, you know, after 15 minutes of not being able to calm and soothe the child who's screaming, and you need to swap out with another adult, you do need to go get yourself regulated before you go on to the next student. And when you can learn as the adult that your body is in stress and you can bring it down out of stress, you can feel the emotions come up, you can let them pass through and out of you. That's when the emotional needs can be met. Like you said, there's the basic needs. Yeah. A roof over your head, food, shelter, you know, clothing. Those are basic needs. But then let's talk about the emotional needs, the mental needs. And I'm even going deeper into the spiritual needs, looking at the child through a soul body, feeling safe and secure, versus his spiritual body, you know, his spiritual essence
Yes.
about them, and bringing that into play, letting my Holy Spirit, my spirit, speak to their spirit and let them know they are safe. I have done that whenever all my bells and whistles and tricks of the trade of education are not working. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stand over here and I'm going to regulate my nervous system. I'm going to do my hug and twist, totally twisted, while this child is destroying this classroom. And I'm going to have my Holy Spirit talk to their Holy Spirit. So it's really learning as the adult all these different tools that you can use. And it starts with reducing your own stress, bringing your body out of stress, hydrating your body, talking about the emotions that are coming up, talking about the mindset and the thoughts that we carry, and the stories that we are telling ourselves, and really writing those down and asking ourselves, what am I making this mean about me? Is this even true? Is this what I desire? You know, and that's what helps people get to the root of the issue. And just teaching kids it's safe to feel emotions. And you cannot teach that to kids until you understand it as an adult. It is safe to feel all these emotions. Yep, go ahead.
We sync up so fast. It's incredible. It's like you said, we are tuning forks and we are sponges, and our aura just we mimic everything. We mimic each other's breathing, we mimic each other's brainwave speed and pace and rhythm, we mimic each other's body language, tightness in the fascia, in whatever places where one person holds tension of their emotions or like trapped electromagnetic static energy. You come in the vicinity of that person and immediately you cringe up in the same place that they're cringing up, because we are so permeable, and it's not, our body does not end where we think it ends, and the part that is around us that plugs into each other, it just mirrors everything. It absorbs the information. And this really, when people think, okay, what do I need to become a parent? You know, I need to provide this child with food, with shelter, a roof over their heads, protection. I need to be able to sit in a car and drive them places really quickly if they're in danger. So all the things that, or maybe like status or closeness to grandparents. So everything that usually we are, when we think, okay, am I in a point in my life where I am capable of raising a child in an ideal way, in a healthy way? And this whole conversation and everything that I hope to bring with all these other conversations is that there is such a huge part of what you need to deal with inside of yourself before you even think about having children, that has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with physical safety of that way, nothing to do with any of these things that society tells you, okay, this is what qualifies you as a parent, or this disqualifies you as a parent. And it's a full-time job, and this is why I was saying not everyone is cut out to do this. It's more than just your way of life. I don't think many people understand that you're not creating a new little you, or a new little extension of yourself, or a new companion because you're lonely, or somebody that's going to make you happy and provide for you in 50 years when you're not able. This should not be the case. It's literally a new unique being that has not been on this planet up until now. It's not like a herd of elephants produce another elephant. It's going to be 99% the same as the other elephants. I mean, there are differences in animals as well, but not compared to how much a human is different from any other human on the planet. There was never a Deidre before you, or will there be a Dennis after me? There's no two same people. And then when you create a life, you first need to be prepared with all these things that we're talking about. And then you gotta be ready that this little creature that you made is gonna be vastly different than anything you've ever expected, and you cannot be prepared
Yeah.
for it. The only way you can be prepared for it if you're flexible. How can you be flexible? Well, by being completely, like you said, surrendered and emotionally open, and yeah.
Hmm. And I just, our focus is on the wrong thing. Like, we waste more money on things that create poison and toxins for our children
Mm.
than saving the money and just giving them a sense of safety, place to process their emotions, you know, that kind of thing. Like, the soaps, and this is all taught in the Human Garage Children's Program, the soaps that you use and the candles that you burn in your house or the cleaners that you use. I I had to learn in my process. I know I'm taking a little curveball here, but
No
it
worries.
goes to show that us as a society, we look at the wrong things and we spend money on the wrong things. Like, I had a classroom partner teacher. I'd go into her room and the headache would spike. And then after years of not being in that building anymore, I went back to read to that classroom, and she had an Airwick scented thing in the plug-in,
Uh-huh.
the electrical plug. And I was like, oh my gosh, the headache is spiking. And I can tell whenever it's one that's going to linger for like 2 days, the spike, the high level of it. And I was like, why? And then there was this one little boy that was so agitated and it just couldn't sit still. And she just like, yeah, that's who he is. And we get it. Like, we're professionals. We know how to manage kids like that. But I look behind him and she's got that thing plugged in and he's sitting right next to it. And that's his assigned spot. And I felt then the anxiety come on. By then I was feeling the anxiety. Then I kind of figured out what was happening. That anxiety turned to anger. And then by the time I got to the car, I was so rageful. That's how quick endocrine disruptors can shift the hormones in the body, causing more stress. And so something that she was doing innocently to, make the classroom smell better is actually setting off the little endocrine systems in those bodies, causing, like, if it affected me that way, think about how many kids could be affected that way. And now they're, maybe some of them, their body shuts down and they want to sleep through it because their body can't take the toxicity of it.
Wow,
Other kids might be more agitated and anxious. Now they can't think straight during the math test. I mean, everybody responds differently. Some people aren't affected by it at all. They don't even notice it. But at the same time, why can't we just have a clean environment with no fragrances? And just those little bitty things that you can learn and start to do now. That's what's in the program as well. So that parents can see what are things that I'm actually spending money on that's actually making the environment my child is living in harder for them to regulate their nervous system. So
not even to go into not even going into the sugar drinks, the phone, or anything used to pacify the kid in 5 minutes.
Right. Or the candy that teachers pass out. And I was there. I did it. Trust me, I did it. Food dye, if you're passing out little mini M&Ms, there's red food dye in that. I mean, I'm guilty of having done all those things because you know what? Bribery works sometimes whenever you have 28 heads that won't be quiet. And, it's amazing what a little bit of sugar can motivate kids to do. But luckily, I'm not in that situation anymore to where I have to do that or feel compelled to do that. So, thank you, Dennis, for allowing me to share my story and my passion. And right now, the Parents and Kids program, just at this moment, they're transitioning it over to the new website, and they've been focused on all the other programs. So what we have been telling adults to do that are wanting to know more about this parent and children's program through the Human Garage world is join the humangarage.net, do a 28-day reset, get into the community, find Jenna Kane or myself through the Human Garage app or website.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you our names to add in there so that they can search via our name and send us a message, and we'll make sure you get into the parents program through there. I'll also give you our Instagram pages. We keep an eye on those. And Jenna and I have been creating our own programs to support parents, women through all of this. And we call it our Vessel program. And with Vessel, we're making it so simple with just focusing on words, movement, and breath. So the movement is usually fascial maneuvers. Breath work is breath work, it's universal. Yeah. But the words and the way we play with people's words allows them to see their own belief system. And it allows them to feel the emotions when you slow down the breath and when you slow down your story, you write it down, you speak it out loud, you feel where certain sentences that you say are felt in the body. We ask you to describe it. We ask you to go into it. Then we read it a few more times, and what has shifted through restating the story that you run through your mind constantly, thousands and thousands of times. But how many times have you actually slowed down and read it out loud? And then we help you see the words that are the underlying belief systems. And that's when parents have that aha moment. That aha moment of what irritates me in my child is something I believe in myself.
Yes.
And that's when the parents really get into the deeper healing for the generational part of it. What is existing in myself is what's irritating me from my child. And that's when people start to realize, oh, whenever I heal this in me, it kind of goes away in my child. That's why so many moms, when they took a step back and paused and did the 28-day reset themselves, they noticed their child shifting, and they hadn't even been doing the maneuvers on their kids. They only did it on themselves. And so that's whenever we're able to say, okay, do you see how your outer world and your child is acting up because it is active in your inner being, in your inner belief system? And so through Jenna and I's sessions and our 2-on-1 programs, or our, the different things that we do, we start with the environment. We start with bringing the body out of stress for you and the child, and physically. And then we start to work on the stored emotions in both of you. But then the words part, the belief systems and the stories, and then changing the words that you say in front of your kids. Now you're shifting what is being modeled to them. And you're showing them how regulated you are using these new words. And then your child starts to shift. And whether they're pre-verbal, nonverbal, Down syndrome, in a seizure, there's great tools within that to help everybody's world come a little bit lighter. So
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, like everyone, you will be able to see in the description. I will put up all the Instagrams, all the links. If this calls out to anyone, please feel free to reach out. There's a spot for everyone there. Thank you for Thank you for doing this and all these beautiful examples. And thank you for sharing your story, because people always resonate with a good hero's journey, a comeback story, you know, underdog. And we're all heroes on our hero's journey. We're all underdogs. We all made
Mhm.
everything we talk about, and what I talk about in my videos and what I talk about with other people on the podcast. It's not to judge anyone, because we've been there. We would not talk about things that we ourselves were not guilty. Maybe not guilty is the right word, but we we learn through our mistakes, and that's why we love to talk about it, so other people can learn from ours. So, yes.
Amen. And it was the community that was the most meaningful in our journey. Like the, I mean, I remember being in Austin and you walked up and Barb and
Yeah.
Aaron were in
Yeah.
tears and ran to hug you. I was like, what's going on? Um,
I
and
was even surprised, but yeah, go on.
yeah, and that's the beautiful part of this, is that you can find your community online. It doesn't have to be in your neighborhood, although that's a bonus. I
Mm,
admit. I but my community is online, and you never know who it is that's going to show up to support you in the moment that you need it the most.
mm,
And that's what Jenna and I choose to create, is that extension from the human garage community into now, okay, now let's get these parents together to support each other. And it's been really, really cool. We have a lot of we have 2 years of Zoom calls recorded,
mm.
and during this time last year, we started to have the moms who did the program come on and share their story on the Zoom calls. And
Oh,
those recordings
testimonials,
are,
nice.
yeah, it's like their testimonials. Yeah. And every single one of those moms will admit they wanted to jump right into fixing their kid. And until they paused and took a step back
Mm,
and did the program for themselves, did they start to see the shift in their children. And that's even more so when that my outer reflects my inner is deeply understood. And once you learn that, so much more about your world shifts for the good, with love and light. So thank you, Dennis, for this beautiful opportunity and space, and letting me talk. I
of
and I need to
course.
buy, I just wrote down, I need to buy my shirt, my throat chakra shirt today,
Mm,
and get
mhm,
that done, because and what a beautiful day to do it on this 11/11 portal, and this opportunity to do this podcast. So thank you for your time and your love and energy.
mm. It was a pleasure. Well, like you said, letting you talk. It was just a pleasure listening to you, and I could just, I was just resonating and letting voices come out and just affirm everything. Because, and I wanted to weave this in so I can, maybe this would be a good way to close. So, I hope. With Deidre, you also, just as me, are feeling a little bit more freer today.
Yes, I am. Feels nice.
Okay, maybe we do this again some other day. Uh,
Yeah, I'd love to go in deeper about the mindset work
mhm.
and the words part of our words movement breath. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know, and we can do another one and have fun with that. So thank you, Dennis. May you
Thank
enjoy the
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you, Dee.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.